In this video, it's another E-Waste Wednesday where we're going to be looking at this Macintosh 512K that I got at E-Waste for only $10. This looks like it's brand new out of the factory, guys. This thing is absolutely working first try. Wow. It's coming up right now on Retro Hack Shack After Hours. Well, hey everybody, welcome again. Whoa, camera, hold on there. To another second channel video. It has no idea what's going on. I think the lights coming in through the garage window are bugging the camera out. But anyway, welcome to another video where Wednesday is typically the day that I go to E-Waste. I don't care when you're watching this really, but that's the day that I go to E-Waste, so I call these episodes E-Waste Wednesday. And it also stands for Ew. I haven't played that one in a while, but let's play that one again.
Ew! Get off of me! Ugh, as if!
Before I get started, I do want to mention you can click on subscribe below. It's completely free. I know you hear that every stinking video on YouTube, but I do need to get the subscriber count of my second channel up, so please click subscribe. And thank you to all my patrons. You know who you are. You're seeing your names on the screen. Become a patron today and get early access and ad-free access to my videos. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get started talking about this. This camera going all over the place. No, let's get started talking about this Mac 512. So I was super excited. I unfortunately was not recording this time, but I was super excited to see this Mac 512 show up at E-Waste. And I knew it was an early Mac right away because I saw this cable hanging out. Of course, this is the keyboard connector that somebody broke off. I did not see the keyboard. I looked around for it. It's quite possible that it did come in with the keyboard. They cut it off and threw it away and didn't get to save it. There are some people there that know to look out for this kind of stuff, but it's also possible that they chucked it into the big dumpster and it's gone for good. So that's unfortunate. And we can even take that out right now and just get that little pigtail out of the way, maybe. There we go. So, yep, we'll have to see what we can do about this. But yeah, this Mac 512 actually looks like it's in good condition. A lot of times these grills up here will be cracked or broken, and yeah, they are not. Here, let me take the, put this on autofocus to make sure we can focus in here. And yeah, it's actually looking pretty good, but you can see all sides of this thing. Of course, we've got some traditional crud that happens when these things are stored for a long time or misused or whatever. We've got a battery, which we'll look at in just a minute. The power switch works. I have not plugged this in. I have not tested it. I instruct all E-Waste places I go to not to plug these in or test them because, you know, there could be shorts and things like that that could destroy some of the components in here. Don't want that to happen, so I'd rather take it apart and test for shorts first, and I think we'll be able to do that today. So there is, of course, a battery in here. Let's see how bad this is. Yep, it's pretty crusty and corroded. That may have dripped down onto all of this, even though you don't see it. The only place I can see corrosion right now is right here. There we go. Hopefully you can see that now. The only place I see corrosion right now is here, but that may have definitely dripped, you know, all the way down through all of these components and perhaps onto the motherboard. We'll have to see. Let's just see right now if we can get that battery out of there. It's pretty stuck in. That's not a good sign. There we go. Okay, there it is. Good old Energizer battery, but yeah, that's pretty corroded there. So that is unfortunate. Everything else on the back looks pretty good so far. Got the model 512K here. Got the Mac 512K badge here. So we'll have to see if this is an upgrade from the 128, or which I did have on the channel a while ago, or if this is if this was sold actually out of the stock 512K upgrade that they did. And yeah, all the ports look good. This side, everything looks okay. One other thing to note on this side, I believe there should be some buttons here, which are missing. So that's also pretty typical as well, because those things just kind of slide off. They just kind of was a press fit into this grill here, and a lot of times those buttons just came off. But yeah, I'm definitely not going to turn this on yet. I want to take it apart. I want to disconnect the floppy drive because I want to take the floppy drive apart, and it'll need to be lubricated and all of that kind of stuff before we get to that. But let's go ahead. Let's take it apart. Screen's looking good. And let's see if anything is working on this thing. All right, I've got all 5 screws out. Yes, there's 5 because there's one up here by the battery on these older Macs that have batteries. There's an extra screw up there. SEs and SE30s won't have that extra screw. Gave it a couple of good whacks, kind of going up into the middle like this to kind of dislodge it. And here we go. We can take this off and get our first look. Oh my goodness, this is clean. Did somebody work on this? Wow. This has to be somebody that worked on this, I think, because this is so clean. Now, if you saw my disclaimer at the beginning, I'll just say it again, don't touch this stuff if you don't know what you're doing. But I'm just like there's nothing. There's no dust. This looks like it's brand new out of the factory, guys. So either someone was in here and did some cleaning, some major cleaning, or this thing got very, very little use and sat in a cupboard. Because I don't know why. If you were restoring this, why would you leave the battery in? That doesn't make any sense to me. Anybody who was looking at this would take the battery out. But otherwise, this thing has no corrosion on the inside. Well, no corrosion yet. I don't see any corrosion here like I would normally see with a battery. So that's good. Either that's been cleaned off or it just didn't get down that far. But no corrosion like on the metal even. Like a lot of times these are kept outside in a shed or in a musty garage or something. And you can tell like some of the metal has started to corrode. I'm not seeing any of that at first glance. This is freaking amazing, actually, if I have to be honest.
Hey guys, Aaron from the future here. This is where I thought it was funny that the exact same day I was getting ready to post my video, Adrian also posted a video of a Mac that was in the opposite shape. So my Mac was dirty on the outside and absolutely pristine on the inside, and his was kind of clean on the outside, but like really horrible on the inside. So go watch his channel and watch that video if you want to see an awesome repair. But I just thought it was funny that we had opposite Mac day apparently going on at the same time, hence my thumbnail that you probably saw when you clicked on this video.
All right, let's go ahead and take the shield off. Not seeing any corrosion up here like I would expect from a droopy battery. Man, okay. I think the first thing I want to do is actually get the motherboard out. I'll hook up my testing rig and we'll just see if the motherboard works before we do anything else. I've been working on an SE lately for a kid actually who's finishing up school. I don't know how old he is, maybe 8 or 9 years old or something. He's really into vintage computers, so I'm going to give him one of my SEs at a big discount so that he can enjoy that. But the SE has these like little cutouts here that actually mirror the little pieces that hold the motherboard in here. So you can just slide it up about 1/2 inch and then you can fold the whole thing out. It makes it a lot easier. But on these older ones, it doesn't have that. So you actually have to work the motherboard out. There it is. There's the motherboard, and man, it's looking in really good shape. I don't see any signs of rework or anything. I think this was an original 512, and it does say 512K right over here on the edge of the motherboard. And this looks really, really good. I don't have good eyes, of course. If you watch this channel, you know, but I don't see any corrosion over here like I might expect from that battery, which is great. And boy, this thing is looking like it's in mint condition.
Now, before we test this motherboard out, I want to tell you where you can get your own fabricated. That's right, it's at the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. Not only can you get high-quality, low-cost prototype PCBs from PCBWay, but they're a big participant in the community as well. They have a big KiCad PCB design contest going right now that you can get involved with. And in just a few days, you can check them out at Hardware Pioneers Max in London. So check them out for all your PCB, CNC, and 3D printing needs, and I thank PCBWay for their support of the Retro Hack Shack.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and see if this works. So if you haven't seen this before, this is my little harness that I use. It's basically, the same connector that you would use on any of these old Macs here. And what I've done is I've broken that out on the other end. So I'm sending the video off to the RGB to HDMI that I sell on my store. I'll put a link below. And sound is going out to just a little crappy, you know, I don't know what you call these, like DIY speakers, but they work. And then, of course, the power is coming in from a power supply that I have hidden back here. So, yeah, I think we are all good to go. Got the correct profile on the RGB to HDMI. Let me power on my... I got a message. Okay, here we go. Powering on the board in 3, 2, 1. Yes. We've got a bong, people. We've got a bong, and we've got a searching for the diskette symbol here. This thing is absolutely working first try. Wow. Okay, I've got the floppy drive out now because I do want to lubricate it before we actually try powering it on and clean up the rails and so forth, but it looks in very good condition. Again, was definitely used. In fact, it's still got a floppy disk in there, so we can go ahead and get that out. Oh, that mechanism is nice. I will have to look at this in post. I can't really tell what that says. It looks like maybe Kim's something. Here, we can figure it out. I can help my eyes. Okay, Kim's Creation? Kim's Creation, I think that says. So we'll have to see what this is. It is a 720K drive, so it'll work in a Mac 800K drive, which is, by the way, what this is. So I'm lucky that this is an 800K drive. I want to get that magnetic tip away from the floppy disk. But yeah, this is already looking good. Typically when I find these things, when they haven't been touched in 20 years or so, the mechanism doesn't even work like that, right? So this is actually working, and I may not even need to lubricate this, honestly. It is working perfectly. So the gear in here, of course, there's that one brown gear that always breaks. That could be bad. But I say, let's just go ahead and try this and see. We'll hook it back up to the motherboard and try it and see if it's working. Okay, hopefully this is in frame. I don't know if this is a bootable disk. I'm guessing not. So let me see if I have any bootable disks in here. Had some problems with the drive earlier and it wrecked some of my disks. So this might be a little bit more difficult than, now that I'm thinking about it, I've got a couple of bad disks I need to get going again. Okay, well, let's turn this back on and we'll at least see if the eject motor is working. I'm not holding my breath on that one. There we go. I'm hearing it looking for a drive here. Let's go ahead and put this disk in. Oh my word. It's actually booting. It's booting off the disk that was in here the whole time. That is awesome. I don't have a mouse hooked up. It says Kitman and it's got 12K. So this is a bootable Mac disk. This drive is 100% working as far as reading. Let's try to eject this, and I can't without a mouse. I'm going to have to find a mouse to see if the eject motor is working. Okay, luckily there was a mouse just behind me. Let's go ahead and get this plugged in, see if the mouse is working. Why not? Yep, mouse is working. Now, I think I can do file eject. No, it's a bad motor. Well, I'm glad I tested this out because that would have been a pain. If I had gotten this all back in the case and then tested it, that would have been a pain to take it all back out again and fix that motor. All right. Time to fix the motor and then we'll check out the analog board. And since I've been working on Macs lately to get that one ready for that kid, I have a baggie full of those gears, those replacement gears right here that were printed on a resin printer. So luckily I've got everything I need at my disposal. Okay, now I want to check out the analog board and especially look for solder joints that have been cracked or look funky. And unfortunately, this was held on with that sticky foam tape, and there's no real good way that I've found to take this off cleanly. You just kind of have to tear through the tape and take it off, and then you can put more sticky foam tape on when you put this back in. It is good to have this here because it does protect you from reaching around and giving yourself a nasty shock, but we'll set this to the side for a moment. And the places that are going to be very suspect, they always have for me anyway, are going to be right here where the coils plug in for the CRT right up here. And you can sometimes tell on the plastic connector if there's like a brown spot, you can see that there's been some sort of a problem there. And so usually that requires reflowing these joints. Of course, the flyback as well, those typically crack, and some of that's due to vibration and the weight of it over time, as well as the main connector right here that goes over and plugs into the motherboard. That one, notorious for having cracked solder joints. And there's a couple other connectors here. There's one right here that goes to the back of the CRT. That one can become cracked. Anywhere where there's a connector or something heavy weighting down on this board, you definitely want to take a look at that. So I'm going to take a quick look with my phone in magnify mode, see if any of these things are bad, and then we can try it out. Okay, I've got everything reassembled, so we should be good for a test now. Everything else looks good. Will the analog board also be good, and will this Mac fire up in its full form here at the first try? That would be pretty awesome, honestly. I've got this thing plugged in. By the way, there's no Rifa caps on this board. They're the other style caps, so at least not that I saw. I did look. I didn't see any Rifas. So if you're worried about Rifas, yeah, they're not on this particular analog board. Got the mouse plugged in. I'm being very careful because I've got that shield off still. Let's see if this thing works in 3, 2, 1. Oh, listen to that bong. Nice. We've got a bong, and there it is. This is 100% working. Look at that. Everything looks good. The adjustment here is perfect. I swear, this is a low hour 512K Mac. Unbelievable. I don't see any burn-in on this screen, by the way, either. I looked for burn-in. There's no burn-in. Usually you'll see the Mac bar right here. If there is burn-in, I don't see that. Let's go ahead and throw this disk back in. It should work because it was working before. There it goes. Happy Mac. Welcome to Macintosh. I don't think I've ever had a Mac. Now, there was one problem with this, which was the gear on the eject motor. Other than that, there was absolutely nothing wrong with this Mac except for a little dirt and the eject gear. And I got this at eWaste for $10. Not typical, by the way. I threw it in with a bunch of other stuff, some other Mac parts and things. And so, you know, I got a crazy deal on this. But then I don't get these all the time. I haven't found another compact Mac like this for the past 6 months, but here we are. I got one, got a great deal on it at eWaste, and I guess persistence pays off here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to open this file. Now, I'm not going to share any personal information. I'm not going to mine any personal information. I think somebody got offended when I opened up a file. I do like to open up files to see what was going on when this person last used the computer, if I can. And in this case, we have literally the last known disk that was in this drive. The last disk that was ever used is this disk because it was still in there. And here we go. Let's just open up this HIDman file and just see what it says. I'll give you an overview if there is personal information without sharing anything. It's opening up Mac Write. And what does this say? What was this person using this for when it was last turned off? Uh-oh, it's trying. Oh, an I/O error occurred. The disk, it couldn't read the disk. It looks like, so I'm just going to say, okay, so we've got a little bit here. It looks like this was being used by somebody to write a report, because I can see here, carotene mobilizes, trans fatty acids are used as energy. Basically, it makes the body use fat as energy. Okay, well, here's that file. There's nothing in here. There was that I/O error. I also fixed the scrolling on the screen. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that was going on because I wasn't looking at the camera. But yeah, this HIDman thing looks like a report. Maybe, you know, acetate is a derivative of acetic acid. Acetic acid uses a synthetic flavoring agent. Then down here it says this paragraph cannot be read in from disk. So I don't know what was going on here, but this was most likely the last thing that this poor little Mac was used for, but not used very heavily, obviously. I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning, put this thing back together, and I think this 512 is in such good shape, it probably deserves a permanent addition to my collection.
So the first thing I wanted to do was to put the shield back on, and to do that, I had to get rid of this foam tape. Now, I've tried different ways to do this, but because there's solder joints underneath the tape, I honestly just found the best way is to use my fingernails and just pull it up from each of the four corners, and when eventually it will come off. And you could always use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol to get the rest of it off, but yeah, using my fingernails turned out to be the best way, at least for this part. As for the remaining tape that's left on the back of the plastic shield here, I just use one of these plastic splidgers and kind of go after this tape after I've let it soak for a bit in some isopropyl alcohol. That seems to work pretty well, and you can do a couple of passes on this and you get most of it off at the end, and then you're ready to apply the new tape. Now, I also wanted to do something about this corrosion here on the battery terminals just to make sure it wasn't going to spread anywhere. I mean, it probably wouldn't at this point, right? It's been sitting there for probably a good 30 or 40 years. But anyway, what I did was I just used a little piece of paper towel and got that underneath the switch there, kind of crammed in. And then I used a little bit of vinegar, just a little bit of vinegar and a toothbrush, and applied that on there. You can see how much it's fizzing. Look at that fizz, because it's eating away at that alkaline base that's left on there. The acid neutralizes it. So I went after this with a toothbrush for a little while, and then let it set for an hour or so just to make sure that it was all neutralized. Last but not least, it was time to clean the outside of the case after I got it put back together. And really all I had to do was use a little bit of Windex. Some of the stains were a little bit more stubborn. Some of the grease marks and things that were on the outside had to use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, but really everything came clean with just a little bit of Windex and a lot of elbow grease. All right, I got everything cleaned up and it's looking really, really nice. Once again, I think I'm probably going to put this in my collection just because it's in such good shape. Now, we've got a mouse and we've got a floppy we can put in here. But what about a keyboard? Well, I could, of course, go grab one off the shelf behind me. I do have some spares laying around that I've managed to acquire over the years. But instead, I've got this neo-retro clicky USB keyboard, and I'm going to let you guys in on something that I've been working on for a little bit. Well, many of you have bought this HIDman from my store, which I really appreciate. And in most cases, this is used to convert USB to AT or XT, PS2 type of connections into vintage computers. Well, I've been doing some work here and I've actually modified the code to allow us, hopefully, to be able to hook up to one of these old Macs. So either the Mac 128, the 512, or the Plus. And I'm also working, although it's much more difficult, on adapting the ADB bus so that you can hook this up to any Mac computer that supports ADB. But since this since this Mac supports the old style connector, the old keyboard protocol, which is much simpler, I figured we could just use this as a test and see if it works. Now, the code for this project is currently available on a fork of the HIDman code. Got that hooked up here through this special adapter, but I haven't done things like put the pin out for this adapter. I hope to actually make a cable, a pre-made cable for people that want to, if they've already purchased a HIDman, for example, and they want to do this connection with a USB keyboard. There's going to need to be a little bit more work. I need to do more testing, and there needs to be an adapter of some sort, and there needs to be a map where people can build this with a parts list and all that kind of stuff. That still needs to be put together as I'm still testing this thing out. But if the connections in there are good, and they probably are because the rest of this is so good, then this actually could work. So let's get this thing powered on and boot off that disk, if I can find it again, wherever it went. And let's see if this keyboard will actually work on this old Mac 512. Oh, and I see the disk is still in there. So if I turn this on, we should boot right up back to where we were before. Got the bong, so that's good. Nothing I did in the cleaning process hurt anything. It's booting up. I've got a green light on the HIDman. Normally you'd have a blue or a white light or an orange light there. I added the color green to denote old Mac. And it is up and running. Let's see if the mouse is working. It is. So let's open up this document that we looked at before, and we'll get in here and see if the keyboard is actually working. Okay, here we go. Position that down there, and yes, it is. So we can type in the quick brown fox. Jumps over the lazy dog, period. There we go. So yeah, it is totally working. This new, I think this keyboard was probably produced couple of years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
So it's a brand new keyboard, outputting, connecting via USB to the HIDman. And then with my updated code and this special adapter, we now have support for old Macintosh with the telephone style jack connector for the keyboard. So, oh, that's awesome. I can't believe this is working. I haven't tested it on a 512K before, but I'm so glad this is working. So yeah, that's a little preview of things to come. When I get this all buttoned up and put together, I'll do an episode on the main channel, but I'm just super excited that this is actually working because now we can use this device with more computers. And if I can get ADB working for keyboard and mouse, why, then all the Macs will be open. Now, I know there's other projects, of course, that emulate keyboard and mouse and things like that for these old Macs, but I just like having one device that will do, pretty much all the vintage computers you could want from the mid 80s up to the 2000s almost, with as long as the ADB protocol was supported. So it looked bad on the outside, but at the end of the day, it was brand spanking new on the inside. And I am so glad to have found this and to make it part of my collection. So that's going to do it for this one. YouTube's going to put another video right up here in the corner that it thinks you'll like. If you like E-Waste Wednesday videos or Mac videos, things like that, I've got plenty of those on my channel. Thanks again for supporting. Thanks for subscribing. Did you click it? Did you click it? And yeah, thanks for all your support. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
End of line.